Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be testing out some really new and fun and exciting products. At least I'm very excited about them. Specifically, Huda Beauty has launched two things that I have been so intrigued by. The first thing being their new stick foundation, which is getting so much hype and there's so many good reviews. So I've been dying to try this. So this just got sent in the mail. There's also a primer that came with that. But then on top of that, they just launched a new eyeshadow palette too. And I just barely asked you guys on Instagram. I got 3 eyeshadow palettes in the mail like today that I really want to try. And I couldn't pick which one I wanted to use in this video, but I asked you guys over on Instagram, and the majority of you guys are saying that you want me to first try the new Huda palette. So I feel like it's gonna fit because I'm gonna try the foundation, I'm gonna try the palette. So this is the new Naughty Nude palette. It's burgundies and browns. It's really gorgeous. I love the marbling. There's also such an interesting formula right here on the bottom corner, and that's what's the most intriguing from the comments that I read from you guys. So yeah, we're gonna dip into this palette. We're gonna try the foundation. Also, I have a couple other new things that I wanted to throw into this tutorial as well, but I'd say we would focus mostly on the foundation and the eyeshadow. So let's just get right into it. I do wanna do an in-person wear test today. So I'm gonna try to apply the products pretty efficiently so I can have as long as possible to wear this for the rest of the night so we can really get an idea of how it works. So I did my brows off camera. I used my Benefit brow pencil, and now I'm just gonna take my NARS eyeshadow primer. This is in the shade Light, and I'm gonna use this to prep the eyes for eyeshadow. I'm just gonna use a flat brush to blend that out. All right, so let's dip into this new Naughty Nude palette. This retails for $67 US, so definitely on the pricey side. That competes with like Natasha Denona palettes now, right? I feel like some of her other palettes, let me just make sure, like the Glam palette and the Bronze palette, like her smaller ones, don't those retail for $65? Yeah, so the Natasha Denona smaller pan palettes retail for $65, so this is $2 more than those Natasha Denona palettes. So that's something to think about in my opinion, because Natasha Denona has some of the best formulas out there. Don't get me wrong though, I do love a good Huda Beauty palette. The Mercury Retrograde one is my favorite, and then the little pink nude one, I can't remember what it's called, but you guys know which one I'm talking about probably because I've used it here on my channel before. I love that one as well. So let's just go ahead and try this out. That's the best way for me to know if it's good or not. So they also sent a 5-piece eye brush set. This came out with their collection of this Naughty Nude collection. So I'm excited to try some of these brushes as well. I'm going to start off by dipping into this light pink shade called Filthy, and I'm going to be using the Naughty Sweeper eye brush. Tap off the extra, and we're just going to start my look the way I start every look, which is with the transition shade. Okay, so this is applying a lot lighter than what I anticipated. I was trying to go a little bit more light-handed with it just in case it was more pigmented once I applied it, but it's almost like a pastel. I'm just going to take this and blend it out, up toward the brow, out toward the end of the brow as well, so that everything is seamless. Next, I'm going to dip into this shade right here called Juicy, and I'm just going to actually use that same exact brush, and I'm going to start deepening up that crease and layering this shade directly over top of that first shade. I'm not going to take it quite as high toward the brow, but it's not going to be like just in the crease either, if that makes sense. I'm kind of buffing it a little bit further out, but not as far as I took that first shade. Same thing over here on this eye. These brushes are really soft, making sure to kind of drag that color out toward the edge as well. Next, I'm going to dip into this shade right here called Naughty, and I'm going to take that on the Naughty blender brush, and I want to do a halo eye. And I was watching one of my favorite YouTubers, Allie, which I follow on Instagram as well, and she did an Instagram makeup tutorial recently, and she did a halo eye, which you guys probably know what a halo eye is. It's where you kind of have the definition on the outer corner and inner corner. But the difference was, and I'm going to try to recreate it a little bit if I can. Every time I've done a halo eye, I always go just like straight up, but she kind of created the halo at an angle outward. So I'm going to attempt that. I feel like I already kind of messed it up, but I'm going to try to attempt that. So I'm just taking this and I'm using this shade in the inner corner to create some definition, but I'm going a little more diagonally than where I would have normally gone with a halo eye. Hopefully this turns out the way I have in my head. I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. I want to deepen that up with this shade right here. It just looks like such a beautiful brownish purple shade. It's called Spicy. I'm going to take that on the Naughty Contour eye brush. This is such a unique brush. Let me see if I can show you guys. Look at the angle. It's like a triangle brush. It's really, really cool and unique. I don't own anything like this. So I'm going to dip into that shade, and I'm going to try to use this to deepen up the shape that I'm starting to create. So I'm just kind of layering it more toward the outer portion of the eye, and then I'm also going to take a little bit of that on the inner corner as well, and I'm going to drag it up toward the crease on that diagonal. It's going to probably make more sense once I apply a shimmer shade in the middle, but I'm just kind of trying to create the base of the shape first. Taking that shade and I'm kind of winging out the edge. Okay, now I want to pick a shimmer shade. I think I'm first going to try out the shade Passion. It's a marbled shimmer. I don't even want to touch it because look how beautiful it is. But I'm going to. I'm just going to use my finger to dip into this color. I'm going to kind of swirl it around, which totally ruined the effect. Darn it. Oh, whoa. That's deeper than I thought. I don't know if I want to use that shade in the center because it's a little bit too deep. But I do think it would be cool to take that on the brush I was just using and layer that on top of this outer corner and inner corner. Because it is a little bit darker, it'll still keep that depth, but add a little bit of something different and unique. There's almost like a blue duochrome in there. So I'm just gonna layer that on top of those matte shades I've been applying on the outer and inner corner. Okay, now let's see. Let's take the shade Shameless. I'm gonna use this on my finger and I'm gonna start to apply this on the center of the lid, but again, trying to keep that diagonal shape a little bit more. So instead of going straight up, I'm kind of taking that on an angle toward the outer edge of the brow. Same thing on this eye. I'm going back in with that brush that we used with the shade Naughty, which is the shade right here. And I'm going back into that and just kind of using it to clean up the shape a little more and to make things a little more precise. Next, I'm going to dip into the shade Irresistible. And I'm going to kind of pat that in the center as well. This one seems to have a little bit more of like a chunky sheen to it. I really like that color actually. Same thing over here. Just layering that right on top of that first shimmer shade we applied. I'm going to swatch this bottom shade called Slippery. It's literally like a balm, and I did watch the video where Huda herself talked about this palette just so I could see what it was intended for. And she said that it's just basically a balm, so I'm going to swatch it. Yeah, it's just like if you wanted to add that little bit of a glossy shine to the eyelids. Now, the thing is with a balm on the lids is while it does look really cool and editorial, I'm really trying to build it up so you can see. You can see the pearls in there, but they're not like anything crazy. But the thing about the balm that I was going to say was that for me, especially with my eye shape, if I put any sort of balmy texture on my eyes, it creases. So I just know by touching that I probably won't ever use it on top of eyeshadow. Maybe I would try it like on its own sometime across the lid if I was going for that, so that it wouldn't be as obvious when it creased, because it will crease on my lids. That's just how my lids are. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, I feel like it's a different type of product, a different formula. It's very unique though, and I'm not sure like if that many people are going to use that shade a lot, if that makes sense. So I don't know, it's kind of interesting. It's literally like a balm that encapsulates these little pearl drops. That's literally what it is. That's what Huda said it was. So kind of interesting. I'm not sure. It made the palette look really interesting and unique, but as soon as you start using it, it doesn't look as amazing anymore. It's almost like, do you remember the new nude palette from Huda? I'm sure you know. And I'm pretty sure that one has a concealer in it. And I feel like a lot of people were like, I don't really use that shade. I feel like Slippery is kind of the concealer equivalent. Some people might use it, some people might never dip into it. So it just depends. I'm kind of taking this brush. This is the first brush that we use, and I'm using it to feather out those edges. I think that's like all I want to do on the eyes. It's kind of interesting. I'm not sure if I really nailed that technique as much as I wanted to as far as like the angular halo eye, but oh well. It's the first time for everything. I'm taking that brush we used with those deeper shades and I'm just kind of making sure that that outer portion is nice and defined. All right, we're gonna take a makeup wipe now, and I'm going to use this to sharpen up the eyeshadow edges and to take away any fallout underneath the eye. And then, as always, when I use a makeup wipe after cleaning up the edges, I like to take my finger and just kind of press down so that everything is still softened. Okay, we're gonna use a mascara. Which one do I want to use? Let's see. Let's do a little bit of the Maybelline Lash Sensational. How about that? So I'm just going to apply this on just the top lashes for now. I took way too much time on the top lid, so I'm gonna try to kind of not rush, but be more efficient with my complexion so we can get to a wear test. I really want to give this a solid wear test tonight, so. Okay, moving on to complexion, we're gonna try out the Huda Beauty Water Jelly Hydrating Primer. Let me see if there's anything in this little booklet that came with the primer that says anything about it. It says that it is $33 and it's like a tall drink of water for your face. It's supposed to create the perfect base for your foundation and it gives your skin a beautiful dewy finish. Okay, so we're gonna try this out. Here's the packaging. It's kind of cute. It's like bubbly and then it has a little pump applicator on the top. So it just says to do 1 pump. So that's about 1 pump. I'm gonna take this on my hands and I'm gonna start to apply this all over the skin. It literally feels like water. So many primers have that slippery, thicker feel to it. This is literally as thin as water when you first apply it to the face, but now I'm feeling it kind of tighten up and get grippy. It's such a unique texture. Oh my gosh, now it has that slip to it. Oh, that's so interesting. And it's not quite like the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip. This one feels more watery than that. It feels like it sinks into the skin more than that one. So interesting. But I like how it's kind of tacky because that allows foundation to grip to the skin longer. All right, so we're gonna try out the stick foundation. They sent me 3 shades. I'm sure one of these will work. The thing that I really liked about the water jelly and the foundation is that they're fragrance free, which is awesome. So the foundation is also non-comedogenic, which means it won't break you out, which is so awesome. Let's see here. So this foundation stick, let's see, it comes in 39 shades and it retails for $39. The packaging is really cool. It has like this ombre top to it and then it's an angled applicator. I'm just gonna see on the side of my face if this one will work for me. Yeah, I definitely feel like that shade works. Let's go ahead and compare the other two. Let me see if there's, oh, I think that one is a little too yellow toned and the other one is a little bit lighter. So I think I am gonna stick to the one I just swatched. This is called Shortbread. They also sent me this Face Build and Buff Foundation brush, which is this double-ended brush that looks so cool. Here's what it looks like. So you have this buffing side on one side and then there's this angled brush on the other side, probably so that you can kind of get into the harder to reach areas like up under the eye or around the nose. So I'm reading this how-to and it said to definitely make sure you wait 30 to 60 seconds for the primer to kind of get grippy like it has for me. And then apply the Skin Finish foundation directly onto the skin and buff out with this brush. So apparently you use both sides of the brush. Let's do one side of the face first. I don't really know how much I'm supposed to use. Apparently it's buildable, so you can always add more if you want more coverage. I'm just gonna take that fluffier side of the brush and blend this out. Okay, wow, honestly, this is like more of a natural coverage initially than I anticipated, but it looks so nice and natural on the skin. So I'm just gonna take that same stick foundation and build up the coverage on my cheeks. I actually don't mind where it's at on the forehead. Maybe I'll put a little bit more. And then I'm gonna layer that up again. I feel like it gave really nice coverage, but it still looks so natural on the skin. I actually never tried the other Faux Filter foundation from Huda. So this is like my first foundation experience with this brand. And I really like how it looks. So you'll see how compared to this side, I do have like redness and splotchiness and that is totally smoothed out. Obviously I have blemishes on my cheeks right now that I can use concealer to cover up. But other than that, I really like how lightweight this feels and looks. All right, we're gonna go ahead and apply the same foundation to the other side of the face. I'm gonna put a little more initially since I did build it up on the other side of the face. I'm just gonna take that same brush and just buff this into the skin. I also wanna see what happens. I'm gonna build up even more on the cheeks. And I'm just wanting to see what that would look like when I blend it out directly with the sponge. It seems to not have any issues blending out with the sponge. But there's something about that brush application initially that is so easy to work with. So I would probably honestly do the same thing that I do with every foundation that I use. And that is to blend it out with a brush and then press it in with a sponge or build coverage with a sponge. I'm gonna make sure I get enough of that foundation on the nose. I didn't wanna apply it directly to the nose though, just because in case it wore off, I don't want it to be too obvious. I'm gonna build up the coverage on my jawline over these blemishes here. It seems to build up coverage really nicely. Wow, okay, I'm actually really excited about this. It literally looks like your skin, but better. It has the qualities of a glam foundation in the sense that it's gonna make your skin look flawless, but it has what I love in an everyday foundation, which is that when you look up close, it doesn't look makeup-y at all. Like, at all. Oh my gosh. This is really good. I'm excited to see how this wears. All right, we're gonna go ahead and apply some concealer. I'm gonna take my Beauty Blender Bounce Concealer. I'm gonna take a little bit of the shade 1.50C. I'm gonna apply a little bit of that under the eyes. This one's a really bright shade, so probably don't need too much of that one. I'm gonna take the shade 2.20. I'm gonna kind of add that under the eyes as well. I'm gonna put that in the center of the face. And then I'm actually gonna try out the other side of that Huda foundation brush. I'm gonna see how I like that for blending out concealer. It's really nice for getting into the inner corners of the eye right here. So I'm just gonna blend that out. And then as always, I'm gonna take that same sponge we were using and I'm gonna make sure that the concealer is super blended into the foundation around it. All right, really quickly, I'm gonna cream, contour, and bronze with the Huda Beauty Tantour. I use the shade Fair. I'm just gonna go ahead and apply this on the perimeters of the face, under the cheeks, a little down the sides of the nose, underneath the nose, under the lip, and of course along the jawline and down the neck a little bit since I'm wearing a turtleneck. I'm just gonna take my time just working that into the complexion. Once I've blended that out as much as I can with the brush that I applied it with, I'm gonna take the Huda Beauty brush that we used that has the leftover foundation on it, and I'm just gonna use that to kind of buff everything into the skin even more. And then of course, I'm taking my sponge and pressing that in again. Okay, so another product that I really wanted to try that I just got sent is this little beauty right here. So this is from One Size Beauty, which is Patrick Starr's beauty brand. And he just launched a setting powder, which I'm so excited about. Look how fun. So I wanted to try out the translucent powder. There's also a puff in here. So it comes in 2 shades. It comes in translucent and then dark deep. So I'm gonna use the translucent one. Look at the packaging before I open it up. It's so cute. Like, I love how it's rounded and kind of youthful. I don't know, there's something really fun about the packaging. Okay, and then it has a stopper here. And then there is peel off the protector. I'm gonna give that a little tap to get the powder out. And then I'm gonna dump a little bit into the cap. So here's what it looks like in the cap. And then I'm gonna take the powder puff actually and really kind of saturate that in the lid. And then I'm gonna turn it in on itself and kind of distribute that in the puff. And then I'm gonna fold it back and I'm gonna take this powder and I'm gonna set the under eye area. Already I can see how smoothing that is under the eyes. I'm gonna do the same thing over here. And then I'm gonna take that and set the sides of the nose. And then I'm gonna switch to a brush and I'm just gonna use the brush to kind of set the T-zone. The powder smells really, really good. And it looks so smooth on the face. Oh my gosh. Patrick already created a really amazing powder with MAC. I don't know if you guys remember that. It's been so long since I've used that powder. I have it somewhere still. But honestly, this one, like, it made everything so airbrushed, but not cakey at all. Goodness gracious. Like, between the stick foundation and this powder, I'm looking like so glam but so natural at the same time. I kind of love it. Okay, let's go ahead and finish up the lower lash line. I'm going to take the shade Juicy on the Naughty Shader brush from Huda. And I'm just going to apply this across the entire lower lash line from inner corner to the outer edge. Then I'm actually going to take what's left on this angled brush. I think it was the shade Spicy. And I'm literally just going to take what's left and try to apply that super close to the lashes on the outer third of the lower lash line. I'm taking that powder puff we were just using. I'm kind of making sure that didn't come too far down on that inner portion, just so that we kind of maintain that swoop shape. And then I'm just going to take a damp brush and the shade Irresistible, and we're going to line the lower lash line with this, focusing it on the inner portion and stopping about halfway. Next, I'm going to take the shade Tantric, which is the lightest shimmer shade in the palette, and I'm going to use this as my inner corner highlight. It's actually really nice in the inner corner. Okay, I'm taking my powder brush and just sweeping away any fallout under the eyes. And now I'm going to take my Maybelline mascara and apply this to the lower lashes. All right, next I'm just going to apply some highlighter. I'm going to take my Essence Pure Nude highlighter and just add a little bit of glow to the perimeters of the face, or the high points of the face, I should say. Down the center of the nose and the Cupid's bow. For blush, I'm going to take my Burt's Bees blush in the shade Shy Pink. It's been so long since I've used this one, but I feel like it's gonna match the eyes perfectly. So I'm just gonna add a bit of that to the apples of the cheeks. I'm gonna take my powder brush and just make sure the edges are blended, and then I like to take my sponge and just press those products down into the cheeks so that they look more natural. So Nabla recently sent me a collection. They sent me a new eyeshadow palette, which is one of the other palettes that I couldn't decide whether or not to try. So I'll have to try that another time. But they also came out with some lip liners. So I wanted to try some of their lip liners today. All right, so after swatching a few on the back of my hand, I'm gonna go with the shade Nude 1. I'm just gonna line the lips with this. It kind of has a little more of a cool tone to it, which I think is perfect for this look. And then we'll see if there's a lipstick in here that would match. But Buxom recently launched, I think, 6 different lipstick colors that are 90s inspired. So I wanted to kind of see if I could use one of these. Here's a swatch of all the colors. These are so fun. Okay, I just applied the shade Heartthrob. I'm like trying to figure out if I want that. I feel like that's a little too light. So I think Supermodel. Okay, I'm just gonna take a tissue and kind of blot down the center of the lips. And then I'm gonna take the Buxom Full Force lipstick in the shade Supermodel. And I'm going to apply this all over. I'm taking my finger and kind of blending that in. And then I do actually wanna take the shade Heartthrob, which is that light color. And I want to just apply that to the very center of the lips on top of that other color to create a little more dimension. I'm just going to brush up and touch up the brows. Okay, let's step back and assess the situation. I do think I want to add a little bit of a powder bronzer. I'm going to take this Gucci bronzer that I recently picked up. If you didn't see my last video where I tried out the products that I recently bought at Sephora, I will have that linked down below. I tried this bronzer out and I really like it. That's a little bit of a spoiler, but I did buy some other things as well if you want to check out the video and see what else I picked up recently. I'm gonna take this blush brush, but I'm looking for the blush. Here we go. I feel like I could use a little more blush, so I'm taking that Burt's Bees blush and just kind of being a little more generous on the apples of the cheeks. And then I'm taking my powder brush and blending out the edges again. And then I'm taking my sponge and pressing that down. Okay, so normally I would use a setting spray to lock everything down, but since it's a foundation and a powder review, I really want to see how these products work on their own. Before I forget, I'm gonna set my brows with my Benefit 24-Hour Brow Gel. Okay, let's go ahead and do our wear test. I knew this would happen, but it definitely took me way longer to film this video than I wanted. It's 4:51 p.m. I started filming at like 3:45. So I definitely took my time while I was filming this, but we're gonna do as long of a wear test as possible. I really want to see how this wears through the rest of the night. I've got to tell you, you guys, the foundation looks so pretty. I'm the most excited about that. I actually really like the shape of the eyeshadow that I created. I don't know if like the shades are anything I have never used or seen before, but overall I like how my makeup looks. So let's go ahead and do a wear test. I'll come back and I will show you guys what my complexion looks like at the end of the night so we can decide what we think about the primer and the foundation and even the powder. Like I really did enjoy the powder under the eyes. So fingers crossed that this holds up. I really am excited about it, but I guess there's only one way to find out if it is good or not. And so let's just get right into the wear test. I'll see you guys in a few seconds here and we'll do my first check-in. Okay, it is so much more dark than normal when I do my natural light check-ins because the sun's going down. So I wanted to show you guys what the complexion looks like in natural light. I love how my skin looks. I turned off my studio lights and just with a mirror in front of this natural light, I know it looks kind of dark right now, but it looks so flawless and so smooth, but it still looks like skin. It doesn't feel heavy at all. I'm like really excited about this complexion product. I feel like there have been a lot of really good launches recently, but this, depending on how it wears, I think I'm gonna be the most excited about this foundation out of a lot that I've tried recently. That's hard to say because I have so many favorites right now. But yeah, this is what the complexion looks like right against the window in natural light, even though it's so dark. Hopefully it's helpful. If not, I'll show you guys what it looks like in studio lights after I've worn it for a few more hours. But this is where we're at right after filming, so I'll see you guys in my next check-in. All right, so I'm back for a check-in. I actually am trying to get used to the studio lights because I just finished watching a movie. I tried to do as long of a wear test as possible. It is currently 1:09 in the morning, so I've been wearing this for about 8 hours now. So let's quickly go through all the products, starting off with the eyeshadow palette. Now, this eyeshadow palette was a really pretty palette. I didn't get to try all of the shades yet, but from what I did try, I enjoyed the look I created. With that being said, for the price point and also for the colors, I don't know if it was something that like really wowed me. I personally definitely think the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette is way better than this one, and that's where I would personally spend my money if it came into a Huda Beauty palette. I also feel like I own quite a few of these types of shades. There are some really pretty textures and unique formulas. I liked the formula. The mattes blended out really nicely, and again, I liked the eye look, but these days when it comes to makeup, I look for the product to give me like a feeling of inspiration. And while this was really nice to play with, and I don't really have anything bad to say about it except for this shade right here, I feel like, you know, I could do without that shade. I also don't know if it's something that I would like say to go run out and buy. I do think if you really felt like you needed this and you love the color scheme, I don't think you would be disappointed, but for me personally, like, I don't think it really added to my collection, if that makes sense. The Huda Beauty brush set was really nice. I especially loved how innovative this shape was, the Naughty Contour eyeshadow brush. It's a really unique kind of triangle shape. I liked that a lot as I drop it, but the brushes were really nice. But again, I definitely reach for more affordable brushes. I've been really into that ColourPop brush set recently. I'll have that link down below if you guys are interested, but I like the brushes. I thought they were nice. So when it comes to the complexion products, obviously you can see I'm pretty dewy, and I think that that is because of the Huda Beauty Water Jelly Primer. This is supposed to continue to hydrate you throughout the day, and I didn't touch up with any powders on purpose. Normally, if I were going throughout my day, I would check in the mirror and kind of touch up the T-zone. That's where I usually get a little bit dewy anyway. So with that being said though, I do really like how the complexion looks overall. I feel like a nice second layer of powder would do the trick. I liked the feeling and the texture of this primer. I'm excited to try it with other foundations that I'm familiar with, especially with foundations that lean a little bit more on the matte side. I would love to see how it meshes with a formula like that and if it balances it out a little bit more. For example, like if my skin was a little bit more dry one day, I would love to see how this would pair with a more matte long wearing foundation. So I'm excited about the primer, but I think I'm the most excited about this stick foundation. So besides it being a little bit dewy, which I really feel like is partly because of that hydrating primer, but throughout the day my skin looked so natural and so fresh, and like I said when I first applied it, this doesn't feel heavy on the skin, which is so nice. I can definitely see myself reaching for this. I love the texture, I love the finish, I love how you can build it up or keep it a little bit more sheer. I'm so excited about it. I'm definitely gonna like try to wear it tomorrow, maybe with another primer to kind of get a better feel for it, but based off my first impressions, I'm definitely very excited about this, and I love the shade. I thought the shade worked perfectly for me. Again, I wore the shade Shortbread 200B, and I thought it was perfect. So this is the thing that I'm the most excited about. I really enjoyed the brush as well. I felt like that helped buff it out. I don't know if it's like a need necessarily. I'm sure any of my other foundation brushes would have done the trick, but since I had this and since I tried it, I did enjoy this, and I liked the triangular end as well for blending out the concealer. So thumbs up on the primer and the foundation. Also, the one size powder I thought looked so beautiful on the skin. I actually do want to use this to touch up just to see. Sometimes I do this at the end of a check-in just to kind of see how the foundation would look if I were to treat it as I would normally treat it throughout the day, where I would touch it up if I noticed things getting a little too dewy. So I'm just going to take that powder on a little brush and let's set half the face and just see what that would do. So I'm just taking that and dusting it in the T-zone on the right side of my face. Yeah, I really do feel like that freshened things up so nicely. So that would be an easy fix midday if I notice that the foundation got a little bit too dewy for my personal preference. It literally looks like we started from square one. I definitely feel like the foundation separated a little bit around the nose, which is pretty typical for me. Other than that, I feel like it's wearing really well, and this is the 8-hour mark. So yeah, I'm excited to keep trying these products, especially with other primers and powders, since the primer, foundation, and powder were all new to me today. I'm excited to test it out with other things and see what wears best with other products, if that makes sense. Moving on to the Nabla lip liners that we tried. I really enjoyed these. Obviously, completely came off my lips because I ate dinner, but I really am excited about all of these shades. I love lip liners, and these nudes look really nice, so I'm excited to keep using it. I really did enjoy the shade. And I also really enjoyed the formula of the Buxom Full Force lipsticks. I already enjoyed the range that they came out with earlier. It's probably been several months now since they launched this lipstick range, but I really like the idea of a 90s inspired shade range. I'm excited to dip into more of those colors. So yeah, overall, I really liked my makeup today. I liked the kind of monochromatic vibe. Like I said, I'm the most excited to continue to use the stick foundation from Huda Beauty. So out of everything that I tried today, that is what I would probably recommend at this point. Again, this is just my first day wearing it, so I usually like to wear a foundation a few more times before I can really, you know, give it my 100% recommendation. That's why I like my favorites videos, by the way. If there's ever a foundation or a complexion product, or any product for that matter, that really sticks in my routine, I will feature it in my favorites video. So I really like this. I'm going to continue to use it, and if it works for me the way I'm hoping it will continue to work for me, I definitely will put it in my favorites video, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're new here, hi, my name is Allie, and I would love for you to join the family. You can do so by hitting the subscribe button, and if you're already a subscriber but you want to be notified on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, click on the bell after you subscribe and you'll get a notification every single time I post. That's it from me today. I hope you guys have an amazing day wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video. Love you. Bye.